Hi, this is my first video, you'll see on the channel. Um, uh, so bear with me. So I'm going to be doing stuff on stuff God has given me and what I've wrote in notebooks and messages He's given me. And it's not going to be the most professional thing, but I kind of want to show people just because you're younger doesn't mean you can't do things for God. So this is what God has given me, my first thing I've ever written. So I'm going to get in with it. So the title of this is How Are You Spending Time? How are you spending your time? And what are you doing during your time? What are you putting in front of you? What's the thing most important to you? So I'm going to get right into it. This is my first video, as I mentioned before, and I just want to share, what God has given me with the public. So, if you can dedicate your time to what you want to do, then you can dedicate time to God. If you can't dedicate time to God, then what are you doing? If you say you're a Christian and you can't dedicate time if you say you're a Christian, yeah, I'm a Christian, but you don't actually spend time to God and have a relationship with God, it's not how you should be doing things. There's something wrong with that. So a lot of times we say our lives are so busy. Yeah, I'm so busy. I got work, I got school, I have time to play. I want to go play with my friends. I want to, I just busy. But we say we don't have time for God, but we make time for what we want to do, like playing with friends, playing video games, watching TV, when in those times you could be spending time with God. And the truth is, our lives are not too busy for God. We can make time for what we want to do. We can make time for God. Even if it's 5 minutes, it's better than zero. 5 minutes. As I was at a men's conference with my dad a few days ago, and a guy there, he was talking, and he said, "It doesn't have to be extraordinary. 5 minutes reading your Bible, 5 minutes praying. There you go." So, it's just an excuse. And it's a terrible excuse because there should be no excuse for spending time with God. You should always want to spend time with God. You shouldn't want to spend time with other things if you're a Christian. If you truly love God and you truly want to spend time with Him, truly want to have a relationship with Him, you'll want to, actually go for it. Like when we want to be good at something, we have to practice it. Like for me, I love football. I like football. You shouldn't love things, but you can. But I like football. I like playing football. I like watching football. And I've practiced, hard to get to where I'm at football. So it's like having a relationship with God. You have actually got to practice it and do, actually try to actually have a relationship with God. Yeah. So that that's that part. Okay. Right, here's a bullet point. I have that bullet point. Work on God's time, not yours. So a lot of the times, we ask God for stuff like God, I want to get close to you. God, can you heal this? God, can you heal that? God, can you help me with this? God, can you help me with that? God, bring this person into my life. God, help me with, this, whatever it is. We say that stuff, and we get angry and mad when it doesn't happen, when we want it. And then when it does eventually happen, and God does eventually give it to you, we say, this is not good timing for me. I can't do this. It doesn't fit the timing. And which is silly because, you just asked for that specific thing. And when God does give it to you, you don't want to, you say, yeah, it's not good timing. I'm busy, I can't do this. And when I was writing this, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, or maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I don't know. God had asked me to do at least video game fast, not to be on video games for a week. And that night, I was super excited and on board, like wanted to do this because it was going to get me closer to God. And when it came morning, you know what I did? 5 minutes into when waking up, or maybe even right away, I can't remember exactly. I think what I have written down here is right away. I came up and instantly got on my phone to check and log into a game. So, logging into a game that, needed me to log into it, and I was really bummed that I never did that fast. To this day, I haven't done this fast. And, moved on from that, but that was part of my life where I asked for something. A few weeks earlier, I had asked, Lord, tell me what, you can do to help me get closer to you. And then he tells me to do this. I'm all excited and on board with it. And then the next morning, I get right on my phone. That's not how you do this. So when you ask for something, may not always be on your timing, but when it's God's timing. It's not his time if he doesn't if he doesn't give it to you right away. It's not because he doesn't like you. It's because it's not time for you to have that yet. So when it does come, you got to be aware and actually, accept it, and go with it. Even if it doesn't work for you, you still need to make it work, because it goes back to making time and making your time work for God. Okay. So the next point I have is, what takes up your attention? This is the final point. What takes up your attention? Good. Does God take up your attention? Or does work, video games, friends, like what takes up your attention? Think about that. Really, really think about that. And, if you want to, write it down. Nothing should take up, this is just easy statements, nothing should take up more attention than God. And if it does, then that's going against one of the 10 commandments. Do not put idols, because if anything goes above God, that's an idol. It's going above God. It's an idol. You're putting it above God, and you're paying more attention to that than God. Not only is it going against the 10 commandments, but it also hinders your relationship with God. You can't have a relationship with God if you're not putting him first. And I'm saying this as experience, even though I am young. I just recently, like 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, started really pursuing a relationship with God. And I went through a really bad time 2 weeks before. God used that to wake me up, to show me that he loves me. But, it was a way to wake me up and show me, you need to get on track. It is time to start a relationship with God. If you keep pushing it off, you don't know what's going to happen. You could die in the next day and you didn't have a relationship with God and you never had a, chance. So it's very important to not stall or procrastinate and push that off. Start now. That just starts with waking up a little bit earlier than you normally do. That's what I'm doing. I'm waking up earlier than I'm normally doing. I'm not trying to compare, what I do to what you do, but it's a start. Praying and worshiping God and reading the Bible is a start. Then you can build up from there. And you will feel so much better having a relationship with God. To be honest, and, I've been giving my attention to electronics than God. I've been focused more on getting better at video games and, whatnot, and instead of God, and even me, I'll admit my faults. I'll be transparent. That's something I've always struggled with. Giving video games more attention than God. Yeah. So, in Matthew 14:22 through 33, it's a pretty, common story. Let me go ahead and get this pulled up. I hadn't pulled it up beforehand, so give me a second. Another thing is, your Bible. What I've been trying to do, I got this Bible at Christmas, and I'm trying to have it by the end of the year look like it's been used. Because my other Bible I've had for multiple years doesn't look used at all. So, Matthew 14, 22 through 33, it says, Immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone. But the boat by this time was long away from the land, beaten by the waves, for the wind was against them. And in the fourth watch of the night he came to them, walking on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, "It is a ghost!" And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." And Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me!" Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying to him, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt? And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." So in that, you're probably asking, this is ESV version, just so you know. In that, you're probably asking, how does this relate to what I am talking about? It is relative because Peter has his attention on Jesus, like sometimes like us, we're having our attention on Jesus, we're walking with him, and then something comes up, like the wind, the waves in here. And as soon as, it comes up, we're like, huh, we're looking at it, focusing, taking our eyes off of Jesus and not focusing on Jesus. And as soon as we do that, we start to sink and fall. And you notice our lives start to go into chaos. We're not feeling as close to God. We're not hearing from God. And, and again, here's the sentence I wrote. When we take our eyes off of Jesus, we sink. Our lives descend into chaos. So that is it for, my message here. And I'm going to have some questions or some things I want you guys to think about throughout your weeks, and, when you go on. If you want to, you think about this. I don't really care I would like you to. I would like you guys to think about how you spend your time and what takes up your attention. How do you spend your time? What are you spending your time on? And what takes up your attention? That is all for me. I'm planning on posting once a week. So if you can, hit the like button and subscribe. It will really help get my message out and, go on further with what God has called me to do. Bye.